DJ Bacon Bits.
And that's going on the intro. Hello. Welcome to episode 222, Never Feeling Blue of the Super Weapon Podcast, most overpowered podcast on the internet. It's your boy, Darius the Artist, and as always, got my co-host DC here with me today.
What up, though, to everybody out there who got vision? We're here to talk about some video games, per usual. We moved the day to Sunday yet again because people have family obligations. Hoorah to family obligations.
Yeah, man, had a good time yesterday. Actually went to the zoo with the family. Really fun time. Saw a lot of a bunch of animals that I haven't been to the zoo. It's been well over a decade, I think. Like since my nephew was pretty young, but you know, it's good to get out of the house too every once in a while. I will say that, man. Like it's been kind of heads down around here. January was really weird. We talked about that a couple episodes ago, but it was just nice to get out, hang out with the wife and kids and stuff. And you know, I hope you guys had a good Saturday. If you guys are listening to this to the audio version, you know, we typically record Saturdays, but you know, I'm thankful to have such a flexible partner when it comes to scheduling and stuff, man. I appreciate you, DC, for always doing that, man. I just, you know, I always say that. I try not to pull stuff on him last minute. If he ever talks bad about me, I probably deserve it at that point. But
I'd be like, who does this guy think he is? We be in the official super weapon meeting. You know what? I'm getting real sick and tired of this damn Darius guy.
Then we have somebody mediate, of course.
He's such a
right?
diva. No, here you go. He's such a damn diva.
Right. My co-host is a diva. Yeah, but nah, man, it was a good time, man. Very nice to go out and see some animals, and they actually had like a little petting zoo in there too, where you could pet like goats and sheep, and you know, it was pretty cool.
Out some blast here, but I do have a question for you.
What's up, man?
Favorite animal or zoo animal?
Ooh. You know, I will say, yeah, yesterday it was probably the elephants, because the way that the zoo is set up was cool. Like you can, because I'll say this, we got there pretty early yesterday, around like 9:30 when they opened, and
ooh, fresh.
Yeah, we were. Yet. I think we were like the 10th people. Like there were less than 20 people that walked in with us, and you know, a lot of the animals are still kind of like waking up, or they're feeding them behind. But the zoo here in Georgia and Atlanta is cool because you can go into these buildings and see them like in their enclosures. But I'll say my favorite thing probably seeing yesterday probably was the elephants, because you can see them pretty close. Because they'll have like they have these really tall towers where they'll hang up like hay or food for them to eat near the fences. So, you know, you can get like a really, really good view of them. And I will say that, and probably the apes. Even though I just, you know, I just be honest with y'all, man. I don't really like monkeys like that, because they're a little too close to humans in terms of their mannerisms, and they're very smart. And, you know, hey, if you guys have never seen Planet of the Apes, I'm just saying, one day, all it takes is one. You know, because you know they have like
one wild
one of them to just rise up. You know, but nah, I'll just aside. But yeah, nah, it was really cool. Like seeing some of the aquatic, like the turtles and stuff like that. Like my wife Lisa, she's in the chat right now. She does not like snakes at all. But she braved through it, because they have like a separate reptile house off to the side that you can go to kind of like see a lot of the like reptilian stuff, which is pretty cool. And they have a Komodo dragon, which was actually, that thing is huge. Like I'll say it's one thing to see animals on TV like National Geographic and stuff, but when you see them in person, they are like the size of some animals on Earth. It's actually like, it's pretty astounding, man. Like TV does not do them justice at all, especially elephants. Like it's fucking insane. Nah, it wasn't stupid. It was fun. Like it was good though. We had a good time, man. But chat, let us know what your favorite animals are, man. If you guys have ever been to the zoo, or if you watch National Geographic or any of that, man.
Favorite animal.
Yeah, what would you say what would be the one thing that would get you to go to the zoo, DC? Let me ask you that, I guess.
A giraffe.
We saw them for a little bit. They're in the same enclosure as the zebras, but by the time we walked back around, we didn't see them. We don't know like if they just like put them back in or what was going on. Like maybe the weather was a little chilly, I guess. But yeah, giraffes are cool too. Like they have the same thing for the giraffe that they could like walk up and eat, so you could like see them. When I was younger, and me and Lisa were talking about this yesterday. When we were younger, there was a platform you could kind of go on to feed them, but we couldn't find it. I don't know if it's just changed over time there, but the Atlanta Zoo is pretty cool if you guys have never been. So if you guys ever find yourself in Georgia, highly recommend it. Not super expensive either, and there's a bunch of like cool little stuff you can do there. Like I said, the petting zoo and stuff. If you guys got kids, watch where you step. They do drop pellets,
bombs on your mom.
They will just poop out of nowhere, but usually the zookeepers are there.
Do they propeller their tail and like make a little shit storm?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's like little pellets just dropping out of their butt. One of them did that, so it's pretty cool. Oh yeah, and if you're a veteran, it's free. So that's actually a good point.
Ooh yeah, I get to go see turds fly free.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Actually, yeah, they did have red pandas there too. There was actually just one that we saw in the enclosure. But it was pretty cool seeing him too. He was like moving around a bunch of stuff and a bunch of animals I had never seen before. There was these colorful butt monkeys that were being. One of them was like, I guess he was.
What you talking about?
He was like the alpha. He was being kind of a jerk to one of the other monkeys, man. Like I don't know if he did something wrong or, but he was just kind of like being a jackass, like pulling on them and pushing them and stuff. Like it was pretty cool.
Yeah, you got to keep your monkeys in line, bro.
I guess so.
Got to keep order in that goddamn cage. Yeah, I'm trying to tell you.
No insubordination, I guess. So
had that one big diesel monkey, bro, walking around slapping chests.
Yeah. See, that's the one that's gonna rise up. You're right, exactly. Like they're flies, man. I don't know, but yeah, it was cool.
The robots will be here first, bro.
Yeah. No tigers or anything. They're working on like the tiger enclosure, like doing some sort of construction. So we didn't get to. I mean, lions. We saw one tiger. That was it. But the lions and stuff we didn't get to see, unfortunately.
So the lions are just out in the street running wild while they.
I would hope not. Oh man, imagine, right? They're just walking around the park or something. That's crazy. That'd be crazy. But yeah, man, that was our zoo trip. Good times, man. If you guys are if you guys are listening, man, let us know what your favorite animal is in the comment section, man. I think that'd be pretty cool to know. So, but we're here to talk about video games. That's enough of that. And the first game we're going to talk about today is Avowed. So Avowed finally came out.
Oh yeah. Oh, let's jump into that.
I have the Metacritic score up for Avowed. It has an 80 for the Metacritic Metascore. The user score is a little bit lower, which is a 6.6, which is about what, I guess that's like a 7 out of 10, which is about what I've seen, I think, for most people when it comes to Avowed. And actually, let me pull up a trailer for you guys to watch so you guys kind of have like a visual reference to what we're talking about here. But me and DC were planning to do like a deep dive of the game, but unfortunately, I didn't really have time to play it this week. I downloaded it, but I didn't play it because I'm a terrible human. Here, let me.
Really didn't miss anything?
Nah, and that's what we're gonna talk about. I want to hear like your initial impressions of the game and everything. So, this is an Xbox first-party title. For those who don't know, it's out on Game Pass, PC, Xbox. I don't think it's on PlayStation. I know Xbox has been releasing a lot of games multi-platform. I can see this going multi-platform maybe like later in the year, get some sort of announcement for 2026. But so it's just like a single-player RPG. I think it's Pillars of Eternity, right? Or it's not Path of Exiles, Pillars of Eternity universe. Kind of choose your own adventure style game. But yeah, man, like what are some of your impressions? How much did you play? Do you like the game, or are you kind of sitting where everyone else is about the game? It's just an okay RPG.
Is my camera blurry?
It doesn't look like it to me.
Oh, it must just be me. Let me see.
I might need glasses, man. Might be time.
Oh no, because I'm looking back through whatchamajig. They don't have my sources all the way up. That's why. Stop playing with me, Twitch. Give me that 360 boo boo. Yeah, nah, we good. They just, I had to turn my junk up to 1080p. Like, why are y'all playing me? I mean, at 360. What? Ill. Anyway, question was, how do I? Well, I mean, first impressions.
Yeah, like how much of the game did you play?
Man, let's get into it. I got a strong about 5, 6 hours strong into it.
Okay.
Then I stopped playing it.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
gonna tell you why. First of all, this game, from what I've played, it doesn't do anything to really move the genre forward. And I'm talking like this because I'm trying to pick my words carefully because I never want to be the person who just shit on things without breaking it down. This
Mm-hmm.
is a proper critique. I don't like to really just down bash something for the hell of it. We try to stay away from that. But we have to be honest here. This game does nothing to move the genre forward. It's a lot of the same old, same old. It's kind of like pick your choices, where these choices really, some of them can have an effect on the game and your game path. I don't know if I'm going to play it long enough to realize that path
Mm-hmm.
but if you played a game like it, if you played Outer Worlds, Skyrim, any of these kind of games to where you're this adventurer and you kind of have, you talk to a lot of people, um, and you get this dialogue that you're making these choices. It's kind of all the same. Now, this is not to say that it's a bad game, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just, to me, it's more or less of the same of what I've played before, and that's kind of where I have a problem.
I got you.
The combat can be kind of funky. It seems like when you're fighting multiple people, this it's really hard to kind of pull this combat off, like the first person view. You know what I'm saying? Like, but they do somewhat of a decent job of it. It can get a little clinky at times, but I'm expecting that from this kind of the way, like, the first person kind of battling style. It's really hard to get that down, but for the most part, it was okay. Um,
Did you try the
One
third person
highlight,
mode at all?
not that I know of. No, I don't think so.
Okay.
But I will say the magic feels really cool. I'll give it that. The magic and stuff that I played with, it seemed, very thought out, and it does have like some effects that are pretty freaking cool.
Yeah.
I love the magic in this game. If there's a shining light in the game, I do love the spells, because usually in this type of game, I usually play a sword bearing brute, typical kind of character for me.
Yeah.
I like to rush down and just beat on things. Like, it's like usually, magic. It takes you have to be a little more tactical when using magic, because usually you're kind of weak. Like, most magic bearers in these type of games are pretty weak, so you have to, you know, think a little bit outside of the box when playing with
Yeah.
them.
Can't really do
But
like up close combat and everything like
yeah,
that.
yeah, you have to be really smart, and you really have to, know how to use your magic to the best of its abilities, as far as just like healing and then just regular destructive type magic. But I will say this game did bring me over to the magic side. I didn't play your typical kind of brute. I don't even know if that's really a thing in this game, because it
Mm.
seemed like magic is kind of the focus in this game,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. So they really did a good job on the magic. The characters and stuff that I came across seem pretty bland. Like, my first side quest, it was some girl on an island. You have to go to her house and clear her house out of. There's like these little imps, little troll like imps that's in her house. Then
Mm.
this turns into this long side quest, and the characters, and they just, like, the characters that I came across within my 5 hours of playing. Remember this, guys. This is in the scope of 5 hours. This is first impressions. So play it for yourself, see if you like it, whatever. But with that being said, like, I did a couple of side quests, and it's that typical formula, right? Main story, whole bunch of side quests. Do you get items in these side quests that may help the main quest become a tad bit easier? I'm thinking that's the direction this game is going. Most games with side quests like this is designed for that purpose, for you to try to
Yeah.
find special weapons and special spells you wouldn't find if you just stuck to the main story. So it seemed like it just has that formula down. The side quests that I've come across thus far, majority of them were, I don't want to, they wasn't like fetch quests. They
Mm.
had some kind of personality to them, but to me, they just didn't hit yet. They were kind of boring. It was kind of lackluster for me. What else? I did have a boss battle. I had a boss battle or two. The boss battles so far don't seem too challenging. But like I said, it could be just because it's just beginning. Because I just like, when
Yeah.
you have magic and then you kind of dual wield, you could feel very powerful. You know what I'm saying? So I want to see. I might just continue to play the game just to kind of see where these little things go as far as like fighting bosses, and do you always feel overpowered being able to wield your sword and use magic? Like,
Yeah.
there's these combos that you can use. So I may play more just out of curiosity, but like right now, I would say it's a decent game. That's how I'll wrap that up. It's a fairly decent game. It's not something to go rush. It's not a console selling exclusive or whatever the case may be. But
Yeah.
if you like these type of games, you'll probably enjoy this. Like if you like the Obsidian type of games, but like I said, don't be surprised when you like really don't see anything new. It's not really groundbreaking. I'll say that.
See, and that's kind of where, like, 'cause I've watched a few people play it and a couple of YouTube videos, just like people's impressions on it. Your kind of thoughts on the game seem to align with a good bit of the community, I guess, a wider gaming community of people who've played it. And from what I've seen, one of the biggest things or biggest points of contention people had were talking about the just like you mentioned, with the payoff on some of the choices you make throughout the story don't seem to, you know, I
Excuse me.
guess, line up to, those moments that you want. Like if you make a choice that one of your companions doesn't agree with or something, like you don't necessarily, your relationship doesn't necessarily change with them. And I wonder what their intent with that, or with just like the scope of the game was. And the one thing
Yeah.
that I don't really agree with that I've seen, and I forget who coined this term. Somebody called it Xbox tax, where I feel like if this was the exact same game made by the exact same studio, but a PlayStation exclusive, I wonder if this game would have gotten a little bit more concessions and some of that stuff versus
Hmm.
another first party Xbox title, which is a good game, but just like you said, it's not necessarily doing anything that's groundbreaking. And I think that just goes back to kind of the same conversation we've been having over the last few weeks about what people's expectations are, especially when they say review scores for a game that's like 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10. Like those are still good games, and just like DC said, like please play the game yourself. It's definitely on. I mean, it's on Game Pass. So, if you have Game Pass, or, even if you're willing to just spend the money, a lot of people seem to be fans of Obsidian. I am myself, especially, gosh, what's the name of the game? Outer Worlds was really good a couple of years ago. And it just seems like from the way the studio set up, they have teams working on multiple projects.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder if this game was a result of, versus a studio who might put their entire team on just one game, every couple of years. I wonder if that would have given them the time to change, to expand the scope of the game a little bit.
Yeah. And it looks like, look at this part right here we're looking at for our visual watchers. Like, it just feels so Skyrim-y in some points of the game.
Yeah.
And this is coming from a Skyrim nerd who put in like, I was one of them who probably put in 1,000+ hours on Skyrim.
Yeah.
And this definitely gives me that feel, and it does feel that void.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm like, yeah, because I might go back and play it because I'm very curious about a lot of things.
Yeah.
So I might go back and play it just to kill the curiosity. But like, even like this battle that we're looking at, like, you know, all this, the dual wielding and stuff, I had an argument with a guy in Reddit because I was just like, yo, in Skyrim, because they were saying like this was like a new thing, and it's not, because you can do this in Skyrim. You can do the same thing, bro. You can wield magic and a weapon.
A melee, yeah.
Yeah, you can do that in Skyrim. But I also wanted to say another positive too is the landscape, the graphics and the landscape from when we originally saw this game.
Yeah,
I remember
that's true.
When we originally saw it, I was like, yo, please tell me this is not the game. Mm-hmm. And it was like, oh, they wasn't finished yet and blah, 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 and whatever. But I will say this also, that it is a beautiful game. It looks good. The character designs look good.
Yeah, what did you? Yeah,
like
that's a good point.
NPCs,
What did you think about the character creator? Did you mess around with that much, or did you just kind of like, you know, just
I skimmed through it because I just wanted to kind of jump in the game and like
okay,
have something to talk about. But the character creator, it seemed like it got a little bit in depth because it seemed like whenever you get to the point where you're adjusting eyeballs and nostril flare and stuff like that, I'm like, okay, well they put a lot into this.
Yeah, yeah.
But one thing that I hate, like games like this, well, I mean, you can see your character when you're talking to NPCs and stuff, but besides in cutscenes, but you know, you create these detailed, beautiful players and kind of, you know, barely see them. It kind of sucks, but yeah, the creator seems cool. You know what I'm saying? I want to give a big shout out to, like, as far as the graphics look, the creatures, monsters, everything that I came across looked very good.
Yeah.
So I can only imagine playing this because I wasn't playing on my TV. I kind of want to go in the living room and see how it looks like on a regular size TV because I was playing on a monitor. It looked good, you know what I'm saying, on my monitor, computer monitor. But yeah, it's a nice looking game. It's a very beautiful looking game.
And you were playing on Series X or PC?
Yes, Series X.
Okay.
And it looks great. It looks.
Were you playing on? Because I saw some people talking about performance mode versus I forget what the other mode typically is called, but like, you know,
that
basically
is a good question.
Frame rate versus quality. Did you feel like the game was like struggling a little bit on console? I saw some people talking about that, like it's preferred to play this, that people should play this on performance over quality mode. Like,
you can see some frame rate droppage a little bit. I don't know, but the thing is, I do not recall what mode I was playing on though.
Okay.
But you can see in certain parts of the game, or like if you're fighting like a lot of monsters at once, I think that's where it does not shine.
Gotcha.
Fighting multiple monsters at once, you can kind of see a little droppage.
I gotcha.
And it just the battle overall, like not even performance wise, it's just the way that you fight feels a little weird when you're getting like bum rushed by a lot of monsters. So
can be the difficulty kind of spikes up, I imagine. I saw some people kind of talking about that as well.
Yeah. You can tell like once you get deeper into the game, I can see like if you come across a group of strong monsters, I can see that being very challenging.
Interesting. I still want to check it out. I'm definitely gonna play this at some point.
I think it's worth checking out because I think it's just worth checking out because I would really like to like get your opinion on it.
Yeah. I just didn't have a lot of time this week, but I do plan on checking this out. You know, because I do enjoy these kind of games, and I need to go back and finish Skyrim, honestly.
Because you was having fun playing Skyrim.
Yeah, I was having a ball playing that, man. So I definitely need to go back.
Skyrim is just such ignorant fun. It really is.
Yeah, it is. It is an interesting game, and I'm curious to see how you interact with characters in this game. If it is true, whether things don't kind of pay off as far as like choices and I don't know if there's like multiple
They
endings or
need to
anything.
revamp
I
that.
try not to look up stuff like that. Like I didn't really want to be spoiled on that kind of stuff, but
And the story, oh my God. Like, I want to play more because I kind of just don't understand what's going on.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think this game's definitely good for people who've played PoE. Those games because from what I've seen from like developer interviews and whatnot, that this game is after some a particular DLC. They didn't say like how long story wise, but I guess it kind of intertwines with that universe. And just like everything in this game is like in universe. So I don't really know much about PoE myself. So I'm curious if people who have played PoE or are familiar with the games, what they think about the lore and everything, because it seems interesting. Like the game is just like you said, it's visually appealing, and I'm glad that they were finally able to get this out the door, and maybe we could see a Avowed 2, next gen or however long it takes. Maybe they kind of build on some of the criticisms that people have had, or things that they kind of want to see change. Because that's how this should work, right? Like you get a new IP, and they get feedback, and they kind of expand the scope of the said IP. That's what I kind of hope for Outer Worlds 2 whenever that releases. I think it's next year. Because it was a really fun game. A lot of people compared that game a lot to Fallout, and how just like Fallout kind of worked. And I don't know if you've ever played Outer Worlds, but I would be curious to see.
I
Like,
did. I never finished it.
yeah, like
I played it.
it was kind
It
of like
gives me the
Fallout
same
like,
feeling.
yeah,
All these games give me like the same feeling, and I feel like that's why they gotta kind of institute something that's gonna make them stand out. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like you can't, keep living off this kind of like nostalgic, these nostalgic moments, and
right,
you got to do. You could use this as a base, right? Like this game could
yeah,
be a base, but then kind of insert your own ideas in there. Try to do something a little crazy. Maybe bigger boss battles. You're fighting big dragons the size of buildings or something. It's like, do something
just
a little bit
make the world a little bit
crazy.
more interesting. And also,
Yeah,
yeah, one
yeah.
thing I wanted to ask you about too before we wrap up, there was people talking about the enemies don't respawn in certain areas, like if you backtrack.
I haven't experienced that.
Okay,
And also, I believe that from my couple hours of playing, that the game, like, it's not, it's very linear. It's very linear. Like, you're kind of going
interesting.
down this straight path. And I think for an RPG to kind of PG is like, you gotta, it kind of like if I'm not up for everything being open world, but I just feel like RPGs kind of should be
If they're in this
like,
vein, I agree. I tend to agree with that. Like choose
yeah,
your
I
own
think it'll
adventure
be,
types. Yeah, for sure.
yeah, because it gives you more to like discover. Like RPGs to me, the big part about RPGs is like discovery, right?
Yeah,
So I feel like if you kind of like on this linear path, it really does nothing for this beautiful world that you created. Like the world is beautiful. I would love to kind of roam around and just see what I could find. Like Skyrim, they just drop you in. You don't even have to go to the first mission. Like you can just kind of go anywhere. Well, you might not be strong enough. You might run into some enemies that's
that's
gonna
definitely
kick your
happened to me on
ass.
Skyrim.
Yeah, you don't even have to like
uh,
go with the flow type of deal. So I don't know, man. Like I said, I was looking for more.
sure.
It gave what it gave. It's not a bad game if you kind of just want an RPG to kind of get your hands off the trigger of these shooting games or whatever. I would advise it. I mean, it's on Game Pass.
Yeah.
Maybe you can come back and tell me what the story's about.
10,
I'm a
10,
little
20 bucks,
confused.
you have access to the game. I very much doubt this is a game that will ever leave Game Pass, considering that it's first party. So I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna check it out at some point. I know Monster Hunter's
More
coming out,
reason for me to beat it too,
but
as
yeah.
well.
So yeah, and that's maybe
More
that's
reason
what
to
they're
beat
looking
it.
for. Is like that kind of investment. People will play it, pick it up, over time and stuff. So yeah, I would love to hear the community. If you guys are curious about Avowed, like I said, it's out. on Xbox Series X and S and PC and Game Pass. So if you guys are curious, check it out. I don't know if this is multi-platform. I'm actually about to look it up right now. I don't think it is. Release.
So let me ask you a question while you're looking that up. What is one factor, one thing, you don't have to name a list, one thing, one little ingredients that you would put in a game to make it, to consider it, to have it considered being a good game? Like what is something that a good game has to have for you to deem it a good game?
That's a loaded question. I'll keep it towards RPGs. In that we're talking about like these kind of choose your own adventures.
Your RPGs, what would have to be in your RPG for you to consider it even like great?
If we,
like, what's the aspect?
I think one thing that would compel me to continue playing RPGs of this style, when I think about like some of my favorites, it would probably have to be like side characters and just like interesting side characters and, you know, giving them depth to the point that I actually want to talk to them more and discover more about the world I'm playing in. I think that's probably the biggest thing for me when it comes to RPGs is getting lost or getting invested in the kind of games you're playing. I mean, I'll even look at something like Fable, since you know Fable is supposed to come out later this year. You know, another big Xbox RPG. You know, I've played all the Fable games like years and years ago. You know, beat them a couple of times. Like the thing that I loved about Fable was you got to decide the type of person you wanted to be and the world reacted to it. And like I said, the world was just kind of genuinely interesting. And if I'm playing a game and I don't necessarily care about the characters that are either like, you know, teammates or characters you just come across in the world, you know, it kind of takes me out of the experience, because the game, the focus of a game like that is introducing you to interesting characters outside of just the villains that you're trying to stop. You know, I always talk about Mass Effect. Like I think Mass Effect does that the best. You know, you still have people talking about, you know, their favorite characters from Mass Effect. And I think Garrus is one of the voice actors in this game. Actually, I forget his name, but I think he's one of the voice actors for one of the characters in this game. And choices that matter, you know, like, you know, don't let me make a choice that, you know, doesn't really.
Mass Effect has spoiled us all to that.
Yeah, and if there's like a choice in a game that makes it profound to the point where you think it's gonna have an effect on the story and it never does, like that payoff just kind of, you know, it doesn't make me consider my choices at any point. Like Mass Effect does that, you know, games like Mass Effect does that. Games like Fable. Some Fables do it better than others, but generally, like those type of games make you care about the choices you make instead of just, all right, I'm just gonna pick this choice because, you know, it doesn't matter. You know, I'm just gonna click through this dialogue and not really pay attention. Like, that's not why I play RPGs personally. Like, I get enjoyment out of the story of RPGs, so that'd be my answer, I guess.
I would say real quick that the reason why I brought this question up, because I thought about it probably like last night when I was playing Avowed. For me, it would be kind of simple as like build-ups to epic boss battles.
Yeah,
would probably be my thing. Like I think RPGs should have better like set pieces when it comes to a build-up of a like a massive just boss. Like, and when I say like massive boss, like it doesn't have to be something like super big like in physical appearance, but it could be someone like a small karate master or whatever. I'm just throwing out an example, but
yeah,
you know, to me, I feel like RPGs definitely have to have the like it has to be someone that's sink or swim for me. It's just like, think about like Borderlands, like Handsome Jack, how like iconic he was. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like you have to care. Like it has to make you care. Like if you're gonna play, like once again, if that's the intent of the developers to want you to care about the story that's happening in front of your eyes, like make it interesting or give me some sort of
Mm-hmm.
hook. I guess is the best way. Some sort of narrative hook. They talk, developers talk about that a lot. Don't just
Mm-hmm.
hit me with a typical villain unmotivated, or like I said, my choices don't really matter. Like, and I don't know if that's because you don't really have a lot of that as much in AAA gaming. You know, with RPGs, it's more about freedom of choice and how you choose to play the game versus your actions having an effect on the story. I look at something like gosh, what am I thinking of? Assassin's Creed. The last few Assassin's Creed over the last couple of years. There's only really one way those stories end for those games, but you have the ability to choose how you play the game. Like you're given a sandbox to play in versus building your own kind of story sandbox, if that makes sense. Like it's and I
Mm-hmm.
think like if I had to choose which type of RPG I enjoy more, it would be more on the I get to choose and there's multiple endings and because that makes me want to play it
Yeah,
all over again and stuff.
RPG.
So
Yeah, because it just means like to me when I hear the word RPG, I just feel like open world, open choices,
yeah,
choices having an effect on what you do. Um,
right,
you know what I'm saying? I'm thinking story. Like there's a perfect blend of story choices and then people that you come across when you play an RPG. Like you
right.
want to have these characters that you remember. Like if you go to like Final Fantasy, what's his face is like an iconic villain. You know what I'm saying?
Sephiroth, yeah,
Sephiroth,
yeah,
yeah, like he's everyone. People who don't even play Final Fantasy pretty much know who he is. Like you have to have these pieces, man,
yeah,
all put together, and then you know not be afraid to try something new and you know whatever that new might be. You might add a new health meter or some kind of
yeah,
because like I know what I like about Octopath Traveler. I
yeah,
like the
yeah,
fact that each of your characters have like this special side ability that you have to use throughout like the game. Each village, like one person is, for example, one person is like super persuasive, like the girl who dances, like she
yeah. That's
has
true.
like a
Yeah,
100% persuasion skill. So if you ask with one character, someone may say no, but if you use her, then they're more likely to say yeah. Like just
right.
little things like that, you know what I'm saying, gives you like a great gaming experience and just
Yeah,
push that envelope further.
it's just
Try to
like
find new ways.
it's just like when you said too. Like if the choices don't matter, don't give us options, right? And that's why I always try to defer to developer intent because
Was it just to fill the spot, or
like
were you
what's the
really trying
yeah
to do
what
something?
was the intent of putting this particular feature or story beat in a game? Then I'll try to think of it differently versus just being mad and trying to compare games to other games. Because I don't
Mm-hmm.
think that's very fair. Like I saw, speaking about Avowed, like I saw a lot of people comparing that to Skyrim. And I don't necessarily like after listening to interviews with some of the developers, like I don't necessarily think it's a fair comparison because that wasn't their goal was to make
Mm-hmm.
a Skyrim light or to make a Skyrim adjacent game.
But I mean, let's
You
be
know,
honest. Everyone pulls from something.
that's true. I agree with
There's
that.
not too many ideas that is going to be original, right? You
Mm.
just try to you pull from it, but at the same time, you try to put your spin on it. So I can see, I would say this. I know people diehard Skyrim fans are probably going overboard, but I will say I can
Yeah.
see where inspiration was pulled from. I can see where some of the things kind of cross over, and then it's almost to an RPG landscape now. It's like
Yeah, and I guess
most
that's kind of fair when
RPGs,
you say that too, because
yeah,
Obsidian and Bethesda have such a intertwined
yeah, they've
history.
worked together
Yeah,
before.
they've worked
Like,
together on
yeah,
multiple projects. So yeah, that's a good point.
yeah, you're gonna get a little bit of something, something from the greats. Like if you're considered a great, where Skyrim has kind of cemented its legacy,
Yeah,
people are gonna, they're gonna pull a few things from it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not mad at that. I just want it to be more or less give us just something slightly new. Just give us more. Add on to what Skyrim did. You know what I'm saying? Don't
Sure.
just,
Yeah.
do what you do, but like if you're gonna make a game like Avowed, like think of how can we push the envelope of RPGs forward with this game? You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
what are we gonna do to make it
No, I'm
different
gonna
and
look up.
stand out? And like I said, Avowed is not a bad game by a long shot. It just kind of sits there. It does everything that's already been done. I
Yeah.
would say that. Like it's on Game Pass. If you're an RPG type of person, if you like those type of games, I would say it's worth a look. It's worth a look because I would love for you guys to come back and be like, hey, well, I played it and this is how I feel. So
Yeah. I don't know why
yeah.
I told myself that they worked on Oblivion, but I guess they didn't. I just googled like the games that they've released, and I mean
You just didn't
they've
because
worked on RPGs, like a ton of RPGs, just like even Star Wars, Knights of the Old Republic 2. That was another
mm-hmm.
game that had, you know, big choices, consequences. So I'm curious, like once again, like what their. I wonder if it was a matter of resources, honestly, because they still run Grounded, like they're the studio that made Grounded, and that game's still very popular, still gets regular updates, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people still play PoE, Pillars of Eternity. It's just interesting. Like I think it is very, very interesting. Yeah, Knights of the Old Republic 2 is one of my favorite RPGs. Like that was a game that I don't talk about enough, and I know they were making a remake of this game that got shut down a few years ago. I think the name of the studio I was working on was Aspire, I think. And it ultimately didn't go anywhere, which is unfortunate. I think that's a game that should get a remake. If we're talking about like good games that people I think would love to experience is Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2,
Mm-hmm.
100%. So, um, but yeah, just like you said, maybe they'll take this game and they'll build on it. We'll see Avowed 2, down the line, whatever the next gen
And
Xbox
Avowed
is.
2 can be something that can blow the gaming industry away.
Yeah,
I put that out there.
yeah,
They got good, what the old folks say. They got good bones.
yeah. It has good
Like
bones
I
in
said,
it.
it's not a bad
Yeah,
game because it's
yeah,
not a bad game. If they
yeah,
made a part two and with the proper adjustments, Avowed can be one of those games. I stand by that. I'll say that with my chest all the way out.
yeah,
Like it can be that good. But right now it's just average right now.
yeah.
But it can fucking
And
if you put it in a time chamber, it can be great.
that's why I'm kind of hopeful for Outer Worlds 2, because the first game, because we've talked about, like I've never really played like Fallout games or anything like that, but Outer Worlds 2, I guess a lot of people called it like Fallout Light, and I think I enjoyed that game a lot because of the story and the side characters that made that game
Mm-hmm.
very interesting and fun. And I really hope that they have expanded on that with Outer Worlds 2. I just looked up Outer Worlds 2 it says it's coming out this year at some point. So maybe we'll get a release date during the summer, maybe to come out like I don't know, November, December. Just don't come out around GTA. Whatever you do, don't put anything around Grand Theft Auto 6 ever.
Yeah,
Or
I
even
think
or
that's why a lot of
even,
games coming out now.
yeah, or even this might get pushed into 2026. I wouldn't be mad at that if this got released early next year, but take what you make, build on it, continue to get people invested. I think this game would be perfect to come out now, not like right now, but come out with how popular Fallout is right now. The TV show did gangbusters for Xbox, and who knows when we're getting Fallout 5. We don't know the next Fallout
Mm.
game, if it'll ever come out anytime soon. We might be old men by then, so,
Yeah, because
you
those
know.
type of games, if you think about it, man, these games are gonna just be. It's gonna take longer and longer to make. So
Yeah.
we'll just be old, crusty, and dusty by the time
Yeah,
some
I
of these
mean, we
games
still
come
don't
out.
know when Elder Scrolls 6 is coming out. Who knows? Maybe next year. We'll see, I guess. But yeah, man, that's Avowed. Once again, go check that game out, guys. And it looks good. I'm gonna play it at some point. And whenever I do, we'll talk. We'll jump back and revisit it and see if you've like kept up with it or anything. But let's go ahead and move on, man, talk about the next topic, and that is going to be Xbox has had, or Microsoft has had some pretty big announcements this week. No, we're not going to talk about the quantum computing. I think that's a little too technical for the podcast, to be quite honest. But I do want to talk about them introducing Muse, a first generation AI model designed for gameplay ideation, as they say.
Wait a minute, who's the what's the
Yeah,
what?
so we got a Gen AI video game machine, is what I call it. So this news, and so it begins, right? Like, we're finally starting to rip this Band-Aid off in gaming, and I want to be clear, like, AI has been used in gaming for a long time before this, but this is something that I think ruffled a lot of feathers. That's the nicest way I can put it.
I love ruffled feathers, baby.
People were not happy about this shit. So, but essentially what this is, it's an AI model that could help. They spun it. First thing that they talked about was game preservation, which I thought was smart of them, because Xbox has always been on. That's always been one of their biggest initiatives, trying to preserve games, keep you being able to play certain games throughout the generations. And they're we're saying, hey, you could use this to play classic games on modern hardware. But they also worked with Ninja Theory to plug in what was the game? Oh my gosh, what was the name of the game that they made that just completely fell off the face of the earth? I'm drawing a blank here. Ninja Theory.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
It was the shooter. Bleeding Edge. Holy cow! How could I not remember that? But they plugged in Bleeding Edge, and the AI Gen AI basically created gameplay from the data that it was given, and it obviously it looks very rough. Like, I don't have any good videos to show you guys. I was looking earlier; they just have like some really blurry stuff on their website, but I think this is going to have a huge impact on gaming, and I don't think all of it's good personally, but I wanted to kind of try to frame the conversation around things that they can use AI for that won't put artists out of a job, that won't put level designers out of a job, because that's the one thing that people always just want to talk about first, is all the bad, or this is gonna, like, I want to try to frame the conversation differently, because this is inevitable. Let's just call it what it is. A spade's a spade. AI is here to stay. It's not going anywhere. And if people are armed with knowledge on how to use it in the proper ways, then, we'll know what to say no to as a wider community, because there's going to come a point in time where you're going to have a marketing label on something that's going to be, 100% human created versus AI, not AI farm to table.
Right. I think they already have something similar to that in music.
Yeah, exactly.
AI is getting producer credits and shit now, so
there's really no going. You can't put the genie back in the bottle, man. Like, it's here. The shit's here. So I thought this was interesting from the point of view where, what's the best way I can say this? Like, I think that this could be used, and I wonder if they're gonna take, imagine them taking data from an FPS game, or data of people playing a particular game, and they're plugging it into AI models to try to figure out how to better balance things, because we've seen time and time again with games, especially competitive games, where you have changes that getting made. Let's look at Apex right now, right? Like, it's really not in the best place as far as its community is concerned. But what if you give AI the data from, millions of people playing the game, and try to figure out the best path forward for the game, instead of just, I want to make a sci-fi game, type it into the computer, make me a sci-fi
game GPT.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah, just give me this with a little bit of that, and then boom.
Yeah, I want this game to look retro future sci-fi, and be inspired by these things. Here's the pictures of these things I want you to be inspired by, and that kind of stuff I'm never gonna be for. But if we could get AI kind of framed in that way, I think could be interesting to help developers. Also taking care of some of the more remedial tasks or tedious tasks that people don't like doing. During game development, things like UVing or laying out, taking a 3D model and laying it flat to put texture on it. That's the easiest way I can explain what UVing is to you guys. Like stuff like that, I would love to see.
Like lighting and stuff like that.
Yeah, even like I mean, like look at what Nvidia's doing with the 50 series and how it renders light, lighting and helps with frame rate generation. Yeah.
Let me tell y'all now, if you ain't on that side of the artistry of how this gaming stuff works, light rigging is a bitch. Yeah. Nobody wants to do it.
100%.
I've watched people do that shit in person, and the level of frustration that was in my mind, and I wasn't even doing it. Yeah, lighting is the pits.
That was one of the hardest things I think I dealt with in school. When we was in art school was probably lighting and stuff. But,
I remember. That's where I saw it. I used to sit in class. Hey, look.
It's all math.
It's
always math.
Girlfriend, I sat there and I watched her do it, and I was like, there's no freaking way I can do that. Like,
yeah, and that was before the modern technology of lighting, how it is now. Like, all that stuff's still relatively new, but yeah, this is kind of dangerous. Like, I didn't like how I do want to call them out a little bit, because they was like, oh, well, you could use this to make classic games playable. I think that would have an effect on the remake and remaster market of games, because what if the AI just poops out, 007 and it looks nicer, but it still plays like crap? Like, that's the kind of stuff I worry about, man. Like,
yeah.
And like I said, I know this stuff is inevitable, but I was just trying to think of ways that it could be used to enhance or make things easier on developers versus it just straight up replacing people. Like, do I think that's going to happen at some point? Maybe by the time we're old, 30 years from now, 40 years from now, maybe. But right now, like, and I, once again, like, I wish I could show you guys the video. As a matter of fact, here, I have the site pulled up.
That's going to come down to people and companies. That's what it always comes down to, right?
I can't really.
Some people are going to do what's right by people, and then other people are going to use this stuff just to cut a profit. Like, it is what it is. That's just how the world is, unfortunately.
Yeah, and companies like Microsoft are going to be at the forefront of this. I mean, they've been trying to do something like this for a long time now. And you can kind of see it here, they basically had the model create gameplay using, like I said, assets and stuff from Bleeding Edge. So it was generating this stuff as it was playing, I guess, is how I understood it. And like I said, it looks really bad. Like, this is just, of course, but this is just the first gen of it. And then I was thinking, it's like, at what point, when this stuff becomes commercialized, what is that going to do to the console market? Are you going to, how powerful would a console have to be to use Gen AI? We already talk about the power concerns. Shout out to your brother. We talked to him quite a bit about the power consumption it costs to just render an image using AI from a data center. Yeah. And like how there's no, as far as I know, there's no technology where you can just put it in a box to do this right now. Like,
rendering, because that's another thing, right? Because if you're a nerd like me, you watched that Transformers documentary where they said they literally were frying computers trying to render one scene.
Yeah, and that wasn't an interactive live action. Like
it wasn't happening on time.
Yeah, it was a pre-rendered video. It wasn't something like a game that
So you're trying to render this AI in real time, and the technology is there, but it ain't been optimized. Like, using this is going to be such a stress at this moment. Like, using this is it's not what's the word? It's not
really feasible or commercialized. Like, I can see down the line you have like a small indie team that maybe has 1 to 2 artists and they want to make a roguelike game that has procedural elements in it, you know, I think that something like that could be used and that could help manage their costs. Or I look at a game like, gosh, what am I thinking of? No Man's Sky, where that game is once again another procedural type of game. You know, literally, you know, billions upon billions of different types of planets, animals, and the like that, you know, could AI be used to help with some of that development, some of that side of development? Like I said, not necessarily replacing artists, but using AI to enhance, you know, your development
It's like
pipeline.
an artist having another tool.
Right. Yeah. You
And
know.
that's the thing. We got to keep it in the artist's hand. Like,
Yes.
if they want to use AI to help them create a better product, that's fine. Now, when it goes beyond the artist is when the trouble comes, when the companies get involved and,
Yeah.
you know, they figured, hey, we could save this much because, you know, that's the first thing publishers are going to say.
Yeah.
Hey, you know, we can save this much if we just do this. Hey, we can cut this person out, just use AI here. And will we get an inferior product? Who knows? Like hopefully, you know, you don't want to have it at the sacrificing developers to get whatever it is we want as consumers, but it's
Right.
going to be a battle, man. It's going to be a freaking battle. It's going to be another eternal battle within these companies as to how to approach and use AI. It's going
And
to
it's just like the infrastructure is just not there for this stuff, man. Like, and even if they were to push all of this rendering to like a cloud server, like I don't know if you guys know, but electricity has a limit on the amount of output. Like there is a upper limit for electricity.
I definitely know that in this house.
You know, much so to the point that you have these bigger tech companies, Microsoft, Amazon. I don't know if Apple's like really in the data center game. Meta, you know, they're really big in the data centers too. Where you know they're trying to petition with the government to build like small nuclear reactors essentially to power data centers because there's an upper limit to the infrastructure the U.S. has to produce electricity because you know we need that power too in our homes. So you know you can only divide the pie so much, you know, before it don't taste like nothing. So I mean, I don't see this just being a factor anytime soon, man. I really don't. I know a lot of people are just up in arms about this, like, you know, just stay away from those guys, man. The people who are just convincing you like the sky's falling, this is over, it's done. Yeah, we don't need developers anymore, blah blah blah. Like that is so far from the truth, man. But this can be dangerous over time. It can. The worries can not, you know, over time it'll get more real in certain aspects. But I hope that this isn't a thing that they're just looking to replace people with. I don't think that's where they're going ultimately. But I mean, we'll see. Like I said, it could either help the industry or it can make things worse. You know, in terms of cost, loss of jobs. I mean, you know, I work in IT. Like I've already seen how like AI is already affecting the IT industry. The stuff that I've seen, man, my God, guys, like this is the least of your worries. I promise you. Like that's the nicest way I can put that. This is a video game. AI is the Gen AI is the least of your worries, man. Like it's getting kind of scary out here. So
yeah, and then like I said, it's always going to come down to whoever wields the power. Companies can do right by it, or they can be dirtbags, and when it comes to saving money, who knows, right? Like,
yeah,
you know, so people, I'm like, I'm not trying to take up for corporations at all, but you know,
context is important, man.
Yeah, just like speaking with higher ups at my job, like a lot of them to create a balance is kind of hard. Like some CEOs and shit, yeah, I get it. Some of them don't care, but you do have people out there. There's a rare breed of people who do care, but unfortunately, they have to make tough decisions. So hopefully, AI has more of a positive effect in the work sector than it does negative. So we can only hope and pray.
Yeah, and one thing I will tell you guys too, man, is get comfortable using like AI agents, that's gonna be probably the first thing that really kind of hits commercial people, like people's hands commercially. Like you'll have an AI assistant on your phone, you'll have one in your car, you'll have,
Chat GPT,
you know,
all that shit.
yeah, it's something, I
Hey, get
convinced.
familiar. Don't get left behind. Get familiar.
It's something I got my wife using. She uses it a lot more often now than she did before. It can, like I said, it can be scary, but as long as you just kind of educate yourself and, I don't want to see
look out for opportunities, man.
Yeah, I don't want to see anybody unemployed, man. Don't fight the machine. It's here. It's too late. It's, just try to understand it. So, yeah, that's it. We'll keep an eye on this. Like, I'm curious where this will go over time. Like, I don't suspect they'll talk much more about this. And their quantum computing is all the rage right now. Xbox Majora 1, I think it's called. Like I said, I think that's a little bit too technical. I don't really even understand the shit myself, to be quite honest. But Microsoft is into some stuff right now, guys. So yeah, I can actually pull up the picture of the computer chip if you guys are curious. Let's see if I can find it real quick. Quantum, Microsoft. And then I think we'll wrap it up here because I got to get up out of here, man. I just realized what time it was. Majorana 1. Look at that thing. That doesn't even look real. Like, I don't... That just doesn't look real to me. What is this? This is supposed to be the most powerful chip ever made, like, of all time or something.
That's going to set your computer on fire.
Yeah, and it's in the palm of your hand. And, like, I don't understand it. Like, this is some very interesting conversation to be had about this. So Microsoft they're definitely approaching evil villain corpo Cyberpunk 2077 territory for me. Like, stop it. Let's just stop all of this, please. So
this is only going to get smaller and more powerful. Then you got to start asking yourself,
yeah,
like, when do we stop?
Yeah. Oh man,
this is how Ultron was made, man.
Yeah, this is the start of Ultron right here, guys. So, well, this is how it starts. But yeah, man. I think it's a good place to stop. Like I said, I gotta run, but we can talk about those GTA 6 rumors next week because I actually do want to.
Oh, it's always gonna be rumors. We can talk about that anytime because people can't shut the hell up
about those rumors. So before we get up out of here, guys, thank you guys for watching episode 222 and hanging out with us, man. We should be back to our regularly scheduled programming next Saturday. We do have Monster Hunter coming out this Friday. I'm hopeful I'll be able to get it. Rent bills. But if I'm able to pick it up, man, we'll definitely be playing Monster Hunter this weekend and talking about it, of course, on the podcast. We might try to see what Beezy's doing, man. See if he's free this weekend or next weekend.
Oh Lord,
have the homie on.
Thick Beezy. Oh man.
Yeah, we'll see, man. Other than that, man, I don't really have a lot for you guys. As always, man, thank you guys for hanging out, man. Make sure you guys are following Super Weapon. We might actually be moving away from Twitter, man. Me and DC had a pretty interesting conversation this morning.
Yeah, so it's a brewing. It's a brewing.
Might be time to just pull that plug. So you might
Shout out
just
to Ann.
Yeah, you might just find us on Blue Sky and just kind of be done with Twitter, man, to be quite honest with you.
It's a shit pit, man. Yeah. There's no motion, and there's no real motion on Twitter, bro.
It's something I don't really use much myself.
I've met a lot of OnlyFans. That's about it.
Okay. Make sure you guys follow us on YouTube.
I'm just saying, every time I make a post, hey, it's me again, Ariel. Oh, hey Ariel, thanks for ruining my post.
Please follow Super Weapon on YouTube, guys. That's the best place to hang out with us, as well as Discord. Please make sure you guys
do a Reddit. Reddit seems like a nice place.
Yes. So please go like our videos. DC's been dropping some heat on the shorts on YouTube, and
I got to get back on my short game. That's true.
But yeah, that's it, man. Thank you guys for hanging out. You guys can find me everywhere. There's the artist. For now on Twitter, there's the artist. We're at Ease of 3, and that's it, man. DC, you got the floor, baby.
Yes, I have the floor. And yes, there's been a lot of thoughts, man. Shout out to Ann, man. Ammunition, man. She dropped that post and it really had me thinking because, to put it in context real quick, she basically dropped all of her socials that does not contribute to her content. So Instagram, Twitter, stuff like that, she got rid of because she said it's full of bots, racism, and something else. I totally agree with her. She said it's become a very just hateful place that she don't want to deal with.
Yeah.
Totally agree. And another thing before I get out of here is I've been watching a lot of Siege. Siege tournament has been very good. Also, if you guys haven't been watching, the Street Fighter League has been this weekend, which has been very good. Man.
Capcom
Oh my
Pro Tour,
God.
CPT.
Yeah, the Capcom Pro Tour and Minard, man, his Blanca, holy shit, man. I don't think you're never going to see anyone play with Blanca like that ever. I just don't see it, man.
Shout out
The
Street Fighter
guy,
6, man. Shout out to
he's
those
good.
guys.
Yeah. So that's kind of been my weekend, just watching that. And so I really don't have too much to say. So we're going to just wrap this thing up. You guys have a beautiful Sunday. You know, if Jesus is your savior, go ahead and bless him. Get your good Jesus time in with the Lord. That's about it, man. You guys have a good weekend.
Yes, indeed, man. Thank y'all for hanging out. And like I said, we'll be back next Saturday, the 29th. Just kidding. Hi, it's March 1st. That was a test and you failed. See you. Peace.
Yes, and yeah, and Tiana Taylor, come to the congregation.